So why should you care about legalizing marijuana? Okay. The United States of America is governed by an outdated and slow political system that has resulted in marijuana being illegal. This has resulted in upwards of $50 billion a year being spent on fighting marijuana, which is a plant. So.
That's actually funny.
No. There we go. Alright, so President Obama, who has admitted to smoking pot when he was a child, and states pot is not more dangerous than alcohol, and he has even gave Colorado and Washington thumbs up to go forward with their experiment in legalizing marijuana, which proves that we have the right, and we have the mentality to go ahead and legalize marijuana. It just has not been done. So why should you care? Tax revenue is number one. Safer and more controlled distribution of something that we can't stop. It's not going to go away whether it's illegal or legal. So by regulating it and protecting it, it makes everyone safer. And it's a phenomenal form of medicine that can't be tested because it's illegal. So it's a $35 billion market if legalized in all 50 states. Colorado collected $63 million in taxes in 2014 just from the sale of marijuana, which, if you multiply that by 50, could be 50 states. If every state's making $63 million a year extra in taxes, that's being spent anyway because these people are still going to buy the weed whether it's legal or not. So why not tax it and make money? Washington State predicts $649 million in revenue by the year 2019 of their legalized marijuana. And in Colorado, 15% of the 63 million went directly to building new schools and education, improving education for the kids. And that was within the plan to legalize marijuana. So can you imagine, we need a new school here in Neshoba. This funding could come from legalizing something that is already happening everywhere. And we aren't going to get this funding from anywhere else, so why not institute programs to legalize marijuana and get money and build schools? There were 256,000 arrests for cocaine and heroin in 2012. Who can guess how many arrests there were for marijuana in 2012?
Double.
Trillion.
658, more than double arrests for marijuana in 2012. Something that's far less
In
harmful.
the country?
In the country, yes. In the country, more than double arrests were made on marijuana than heroin and cocaine. And in those 658,000 arrests, $50 billion was spent on fighting it. All for something that causes 0 deaths.
What?
There has not been a single reported death from recreational use of marijuana. But we have tobacco at 406,000 deaths in 2002 from something that's legal. Alcohol, pharmaceutical drugs that doctors prescribe to us, and then other illegal drugs. But marijuana has still yet to kill anyone. So why? Why do we spend all this money to legalize something, to not legalize something that should be legal? It's not going to stop. Whether we fight it or not, we're never going to win. Marijuana is always going to be around. So whether it's legal or not, we have to, it's going to be there, it's going to be smoked, it's going to be used, it's going to be bought. So why not regulate it, tax it, and make some money? It has unmeasurable amounts of success as medicine. Currently, doctors and pharmaceutical companies aren't allowed to test the benefits of marijuana because it's classified as the same thing as heroin or cocaine. But people on the side have found that it has positive benefits for people suffering from seizures, PTSD, Alzheimer's, autism, glaucoma, cancer, can reduce the pain of people with cancer during chemotherapy, and diabetes. All severe illnesses we have in America that we can't find drugs for, and yet we have something that's growing out of the ground, but we call it illegal. So yes, everything that's green always has a red side, the negatives. So concerns with legalizing marijuana, we don't know the true effects it can have on people. It is a bad drug, and it's considered a gateway drug. The reason we don't know what the benefits of it is because the US government has measured it and sees it as the same thing as cocaine. So with it being given the same rating as cocaine, it's not allowed to be funded. The government can't fund tests to see the benefits of it. We call it a bad drug, and it's only called a bad drug because society labeled it as that in the 60s and when there was a major drug epidemic, not only in marijuana. Yes, it is a drug, but we take drugs prescribed to doctors every day. We call it medicine, just like how marijuana can also be called medicine. marijuana is considered a gateway drug, and yet in 2011, the National Institute of Drug Abuse concluded that more kids were smoking marijuana, but fewer and fewer were drinking alcohol and smoking tobacco. Two habits that, proven on the previous slide, cause a lot more deaths than marijuana. And according to a 2012 Human Rights Watch report that tracks 30,000 New Yorkers who were arrested for marijuana charges, but had no prior, 90% had no felony charges beforehand, and only 3.1% of them had committed a violent crime, which shows that marijuana isn't necessarily a violent drug. It's not really, it's not related to the same people who are doing cocaine. It's not related to the same people who are doing heroin. It's not in the same realm as those guys in terms of that. So, I'm not here to tell you to go smoke weed, and I'm not here to tell you that weed is the best thing in the world. What I'm here to say is, as we enter election season, and we're all able to vote in the next 2016 election, in which marijuana should hopefully be on the ballot, I want you to think about and realize the facts and the potential behind changing what we have now in our political system. And it's time for political change and forward thinking towards marijuana, because there's so much more that can be done. Between school funding, paying off government debt that is obviously growing every day, focus police on violent crimes, non-marijuana smokers who had 90% of them had not committed a violent crime, free up prison space as the prisons are overcrowded because 638,000 people were arrested for smoking marijuana, and modernize the U.S. to match other countries which have already gone ahead and legalized marijuana. So that is why we should legalize marijuana.